Hey friends and family, this is SB News Nuggets, and today you guys, we've got a story coming out of Houston, Texas, you guys. First of all, if you guys remember the Maleah Davis case, these are some of the players that was in the Maleah Davis case. We've got the chief of police, and then we got Cornell X. You guys understand how this works. Well, right now they are into it about the no-knock warrant that was done to the house on Harding Street. And we found out so much information about all the lies that the police department has told. And Cornell X is on the Houston Police Department, especially the chief. And he's asking him to step down. And he's asking him, why are you defending your officers for lying and committing perjury and putting information out there that's not, and lying and stealing and all of this stuff that they've been doing. And if they've done this on this case, they've done it on more cases, because they're finding out that they have fired 160. And some of these worked on the Maleah Davis case. That's why we've seen so much information that, they were saying that's not true, that's not her, that's not her car. But anyway, you guys, I want you to check this out, explore it, and then we'll talk about it Monday at 5 p.m. Central Time. Hey family, this is SP News Nuggets. Get your studs out. Summer is here, you guys, and you're going to need those accessories to complement everything you wear. This is 2020, so this is the year to dress and impress. Get your Versace, get your Gucci, all your accessories from Nora's Closet. Authentic designer handbags, everything is authentic and 100% real. Go over there to Nora's Closet, all the name brands you can find. Tell her SP sent you. Are you a Warriors for Children, and she'll work with you.
Activists come together to call for the firing of Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo.
Tonight, those activists say the chief is leading a department that lacks accountability and transparency.
They say there have been too many deadly officer-involved shootings, and that has them concerned.
Mario Diaz is live in Southeast Houston with the other demands they're making. And Mario, we understand you also got a response from the chief.
Yeah, Lauren, in the last 2 hours, the chief did send us a lengthy statement, and in it, he says that he has been holding officers accountable since he first arrived here in Houston, referencing more than 160 members of the department that have been removed. But at the same time, this afternoon's news conference was not about holding officers accountable. It was more about one thing specific, and that is Chief Acevedo and his future as the head of the department.
Those narcotics officers committed a double homicide, a cold-blooded murder at this address.
The address, a familiar one, 7815 Harding Street, site of a deadly botched HPD raid from January of 2019, a night that still lacks full transparency for many.
They don't want to release the ballistics reports, because if they do, you're going to find out they started shooting before they went in the building.
Voices came together here this afternoon calling for change. Bottom line for these speakers, HPD Chief Art Acevedo needs to go. But that's not all.
We want a federal monitor to be placed over HPD, and we want a federal task force to come in and investigate the narcotics division of the Houston Police Department.
A month ago, the chief was everywhere on television talking about the challenges with policing nationwide. But since last week's criminal charges filed against former HPD officers for their alleged actions while serving under Chief Acevedo, as well as a blistering internal audit of the narcotics division, there have been no interviews, no news conferences. The chief has been silent. For Mayor Sylvester Turner's position,
I have 100% confidence in him, and I think most Houstonians in this city do as well.
Cornell X questions the mayor for his stance.
If your chief, under his watch, Mayor Turner, says to you that I discovered my officers were selling dope, stealing money, and killing citizens in cold blood and covering it up, under my watch. Mr. Mayor, I say to you, Mayor Turner, how in the hell are you in your right mind to say you support that man 100%?
2 homeowners killed in that HPD drug operation.
Now, the big development we're following tonight, 3 people facing federal charges, 2 police officers and a civilian who dialed 911.
All 3 were taken into custody by the FBI with support from HPD, and all 3 have now made their first appearances in federal court.
And Bill, good evening to you. Today in federal court, a scathing indictment of 2 former Houston police officers and a civilian who is accused of making multiple phone calls to 911. Those phone calls, it's alleged, based on false information, and that information now the impetus behind what's now known as one botched drug raid based on a lengthy list of lies. In all, 9 counts of federal offenses, piecing together a case against the 3 accused of lying about what went down behind the front door of 7815 Harding Street in January. 7 counts against Gerald Goins. It's alleged Goins, the case agent, lied about everything, from the confidential informant who allegedly purchased black tar heroin from the home of Dennis Tuttle and Regina Nicholas, to filing a false police report and violating the Tuttle's constitutional rights by entering their home on fake evidence. Goins also faces 2 counts of felony murder in state criminal court. 1 count for Stephen Bryant, who was released on a $50,000 unsecured bond. He has entered a not guilty plea. Bryant is accused of lying about previously investigating the Tuttle home, claiming he had seen the heroin Goins reported was purchased from the home the day before the raid. And 1 count for Patricia Ann Garcia, the new name here, accused of calling 911 multiple times, claiming her daughter was in the house, which contained drugs and guns. Her case key because it provides context as to how we got here.
In this case, the suspect decided to shoot, and then he came and actually at one point took his gun out the door and shot at the officers. We don't have bloodstain patterns throughout the house showing that he's moving back and forth while he's shot and has been fired on.
So what really happened during that deadly botched raid 9 months ago on Harding Street? There are still many questions about this case. Did Dennis Tuttle, in fact, shoot at officers as they came into the house? Did he even fire a single shot? And were police officers hit by police officers?
I knew where he spent his final moments as he lay dying, and his teeth were still there. How do you come in and process a scene and leave part of the victim lying on the floor in a puddle of blood?
The wound reveals not only where Tuttle was inside the home, but also the view an HPD officer had when he fired the shot.
What we have to realize is that this bullet is fired from outside of the house. There's not a view inside of the house. Regina Nichols is shot blind. That means Tuttle was shot, at least by that grazing wound across his forearm, blind as well. They didn't see him.
They didn't see him.
Not for that shot.
At the time of death, Tuttle weighed only 112 pounds. He had his right hand bandaged and a leg in a brace. However, HPD says he was still capable of hitting 4 trained officers after surprising him with a no-knock warrant. It's important to know what HPD Chief R. Acevedo said hours after former narcotics officer Gerald Goins was charged with 2 counts of murder.
I stand by our investigation. I can tell you there's no evidence of friendly fire in this case. Debacle at the doorway, with shots raining in against the house that aren't being aimed at individuals but are just shooting a structure and everything else. You would think that rather than just state there is no evidence, we would see that evidence.
On to the Harding Street raid investigation. A detention hearing was held today for one of the officers facing charges, Gerald Goins. That's where federal investigators presented new evidence, and there were some bombshells. Channel 2's Brandon Walker inside that federal courtroom during the hearing, and he joins us live downtown with more. Brandon?
And Dominica, detention hearing all to decide whether bond will be granted. Right now, no decision. It seems Gerald Goins will spend the weekend in federal custody as Magistrate Judge Dina Palermo has a lot to consider after a very lengthy, a very detailed detention hearing. Both sides stating their case, beginning with the government, which had its witness, a FBI special investigator who is part of the FBI's civil rights investigation into the Harding Street raid. The FBI special agent who testified for the government said 5 confidential informants who worked for Goins were interviewed, and all 5 said they never visited Harding Street, let alone purchased heroin from that address. Also, the special agent testified Goins was involved in a sexual relationship with one of his CIs. That's the same CI who told investigators the drugs Goins said was purchased from the Tuttle home actually came from a different, unrelated address. Investigators also discovered a stolen gun in Goins' unmarked unit and various narcotics. Proof says the government that Goins lied to get his way and would do so again if granted bond. 5 witnesses testified on Goins' behalf, big names with big Houston ties, including Elise Lanier, widow of former Houston Mayor Bob Lanier.
I don't know what their case is. I just know they tried to sensationalize it so much, and
Goins has worked for the Lanier family for years, providing security and aiding the late mayor before he died. But are character witnesses strong enough in federal court where burden is on the defense to prove why bonds should be issued? Channel 2 legal analyst Brian Weiss says that's a tough one for Goins' team.
But what the government showed today is the underside, the netherworld of Gerald Goins' life, the 85% of the iceberg, if you will, that struck the Titanic. That's the 85% of this man's life that it will probably get him detained.